Hello everyone. Welcome to another DanOCan video. This one's going to be a little different. This is a solo camping trip this weekend. Emily is still visiting her folks in Saskatchewan, so it's just Mabel and I this week. And we just pulled in here to Sibbald Lake Provincial Rec area. Just stopped, got the trailer leveled. Time to get camp set up because there's threatening some rain this weekend, and I'm hungry and I need a hot dog. Or an Italian sausage in this case. Okay, so setup is more or less complete. Let me give you a quick tour of the campsite here. So I decided I'll do the picnic table there. I can move it a little closer to the fire if I want. I have my Mabel's chair, my chair. I've got the gazebo set up. I put one privacy panel on just because there is a dog in that site right there that you can see through the window, and so by this way I can put Mabel in here. She won't see that dog. She hasn't reacted to it too badly. I apologize to everyone in the campground for the noise, but this site is quite sloped, and I had a really difficult time with the truck sitting at an angle after I leveled the trailer, getting the weight distribution bars off the brackets. There was a lot of crashing and banging and noise, and I'm sure a lot of the neighbors were wondering who the hell has moved in here, but that's taken care of and that's done. Solo camping is a lot more work. I'm just looking here, it's 7:45. I think I got in, I can't remember exactly when, but I mean that was probably a good 45 minutes, and I just realized I haven't even turned on the propane and lit the fridge or done any of that yet. Like I said, there's a lot that goes in when you're doing it all on your own. And we still have the old original Dometic fridge here. Does a pretty good job still. Now I have to remember, interestingly enough, this knob, the selector knob, broke off, and we got it fixed, but it no longer lines up. So I actually have to set this knob so that it says off, and then that's the propane. And now this is going to require a couple of hands, so I have to put the camera down, but I have to pull this out to turn on the flow of propane while pushing this knob in to ignite, while watching this little tiny sight glass there to see the flame when it comes on. So I'm going to do that next. So one trick when you have these older manual appliances, it sometimes is a good idea, light the stove first, and then that gets the propane through the system and gets all the air out of the lines. Now, normally I would light my flame first, then turn on the gas. Since I'm doing this one-handed, I'm going to turn the gas on and then light the flame. But you can see there, I had a lot of time. There's a lot of air that's still got to come out of that line before it really wants to ignite. There we go. Blue flames going, so we finally got propane out of there. That should make lighting the fridge a lot easier. And it's hard to set up. There's not a lot of room for a tripod, but I'll set you there so you can kind of watch the struggle. And it's kind of helpful to get right in here so that you kind of block the light, because sometimes that flame can be very dim. Oh, flickered. Ooh, that was a good one. It almost took that time. Oh, it's flickering good now. It's flickering every time now, so we're getting close. So maybe the key was just to leave it for a while. I walked away, I went outside, I was getting the vice grips and a little screwdriver bit. I was going to remove the panel on the outside because I know I can light it from the outside. Came back in, gave it one last shot, and of course it works. And I think that shows up pretty good on camera there. You can see that blue flame through the sight glass there. So we know it's actually working and lit. So now it can start cooling down again. I can start cooling down again and start preparing dinner. Gimbal has overheated. Okay, that's probably a result of the dog knocking it over, but at least it's not overloading now. Ugh, mosquitoes are bad out here tonight too, which means it's time to get a fire started. Well, it's official. The DJI Pocket 2 appears to be dead. When Mabel knocked it over there when it was sitting on the tripod, since then the gimbal just comes up, says gimbal protected, it won't spin. It said gimbal overheated, so I let it sit. It just comes back, says gimbal protected, and it doesn't do anything. So it's broken. The rest of the video is going to have to be shot here the old-fashioned way on the old Pixel 8 Pro. So that's going to suck for audio if it gets windy. Mabel, of course, doesn't feel guilty at all. She doesn't know what she did. But we're getting the fire ready here. Get ready to cook. It is super unfortunate about the whole camera incident because I was counting on, being a solo weekend, using the gimbal on the tripod a lot. And then now I can't do that, so I'm going to have to improvise. Quick change of clothes. Not because I'm dirty or anything. It's just that I realized I came straight from the office, so I was still wearing a company shirt, and I really like to keep my real professional job separate from YouTube, so it saves me having to edit out logos and things. So try and do this without cutting myself. Ooh, that onion's got some pretty soft spots on it. I'll just cut around those because I'm by myself. Standards don't matter anymore. Don't really need that super fine, but I do want it. Whoop, nobody saw that. Why do I feel like the theme of this weekend will be DanOCan goes feral? There we go. Loosely diced. Some sweet peppers. So normally I do this in a cast iron frying pan, but I realized I didn't put the camping cast iron frying pan back in Bella the Boler. So I'm going to have to do it on our grill here, our griddle, and hopefully it doesn't get too dirty cooking over the fire. I'm just kind of waiting for that to burn down a little bit more. Still a little too flamey, not enough heaty. And I'm just continuing to watch the clouds here. There is a forecast for rain showers this weekend, so it wouldn't surprise me if this eventually turns into something. But that's why we have the trailer and the gazebo ready to hide out of the rain in if necessary. All right, throw those on there with a little bit of butter because I didn't bring any oil. Mabel, no, you don't want any of that. And we'll get those sauteed up here. Try and beat the rain. So my initial plan for this meal was just to have a big plate of peppers, onion, and a couple Italian sausages. I actually brought out some buns, so I changed my mind partway through the the packing process. And the only reason I had hesitated is I've been trying to cut down on my carbs a lot. Not eliminating them, just choosing them less often. And it's worked. Between that and really paying attention to portion control, I've managed to drop about 25 pounds since April. So even though we're camping, well, I'm camping, I guess meaning me and Mabel, even though we're camping and calories don't count when you're camping, unfortunately the calories count when you're camping. I don't know. Looks pretty good, I think. Everything tastes better when you're camping anyway, so there we go. Made it into sandwich form with some peppers and cheese whiz processed cheese spread. And hot Italian sausage. Should be pretty good. So there we go. Mabel's starting to settle down now. I took her for a little walk so she could do those things that dogs do before bedtime. And I'm just relaunching the campfire after it went out while I was eating. So what are the biggest adjustments for me solo camping? I think the biggest thing I've noticed is just how long everything takes. Like, even on a normal weekend with two of us, coming out after work, by the time you get set up and everything, it seems like that first night's basically a waste. And doing it all solo was even more time consuming. Like, it's 10 after 10, the sun set about 20 minutes ago, and this is the first moment I've had to just sit and do nothing. Like, it's either been setting up the camp or the food prep or walking the dog or putting away the dishes, which I haven't even washed yet. I'm just putting them away. But it's just been, whereas when there's two of us, there's a division of labor that can take place and you can do things simultaneously. This is, you're on your own, and it just takes a lot longer. So it's finally nice to be able just to sit and enjoy the fire and relax. All right, everyone. I had a chance to do some dishes, put a few things away, get everything cleaned up. And it's time for bed, so I'm going to wrap it up for tonight, and I'll see you in the morning. Have a good one. Well, welcome to our first and only full day of camping this weekend. If you've watched any of our videos before, you've probably seen trusty old Blue here, which is our coffee pot percolator that we use for making coffee. Well, something happened last week, or last time we went camping, and the innards kind of broke, and I was able to push it back together and make it usable, but it's not really stable. Needs to be replaced. Emily always says she can find replacements for those innards at a thrift store easily enough. So this week for coffee, I'm going this route. And I am breaking out Old Red. Old Red is the coffee pot I remember my parents using when I was a kid, like a young kid, back when we would go camping up in Rocky Mountain House. So kind of nice to go back to the original again. It always had a couple features I liked over Old Blue, actually. First one, and it's kind of hard to see because I already filled it with water, but it actually has a clearly marked thing on the inside that shows the maximum water level. And the percolator lid has a clear plastic knob on top so that you can actually see how dark the coffee is without having to basically pour a sample. So I kind of like that. It's a feature I wish Old Blue had, because it's nice to know when the coffee's done. Because when it comes to percolator coffee, it's a very short distance from 2 week too strong. But that's all right. Now we have a better way of telling. There we go, got the coffee started. Camp stove got really dusty in the back of the truck on our back roads adventure out to the Ronalane Bridge. So, oh well, at some point it'll rain and clear that up. So, we've left the campground after breakfast here. We're gonna go do some geocaches. There's a series of 4 just across the highway from the campground. It's only about a kilometer as the crow flies, but we're going to follow the road, so it'll be a little bit longer for us. I'm hoping we got an early enough start that we can get it done before more of these clouds form and the rain opens up later today, which is expected to happen, I think. So here we are. This is where we put the flats in Sibbald Flats. This is Highway 68 on the right, and that road down there in the flats, you can see that car heading down, that is either the start or the end of the Powder Face Trail, depending on which direction you're driving. The Powder Face Trail, I think, is one of the most scenic gravel roads I've ever enjoyed. And if you follow it all the way through, when it's open, it comes out at Little Elbow. Now, it's such a shame. So much of this audio is going to be ruined from wind noise, and shakiness is going to ruin the video. But I'll show you where we are here. So I've left the Powder Face Trail, and Mabel and I, there she is down there having a grand old time. We are cutting cross country towards the first cache called Chip. This is a geocache I DNF'd a few years back, and I know the owner came out and checked on it and said that, yeah, the tree had fallen, or there was something that had happened to the cache location that made the hint that was on the cache basically invalid or misleading. So coming back to make a second attempt at this one a few years later. So we're continuing here. I've been just kind of skirting the edge of these woods to get as close to the cache as I possibly can. Couple reasons. I mean, number one, as you can see, those woods are pretty dense, so there's probably a lot of bushwhacking. And as well, being that dense, I can't see very far in front of me to see if there's predators. And I mean, there has been a cougar sighted in this area. This is obviously bear territory. So staying out here gives me a little bit better visibility into things that may want to eat me. That's number one. Number two is this is off trail, and so there is no defined path. So at least I figure if I stay out here, if I have a problem, like I twist an ankle or break a leg or who knows whatever, you can see just over there where the main road is. And at least if I'm out here on the flats, I have a better chance of signaling for assistance. It's a fine line between being prepared, being smart, being cautious, and being afraid. And the older I get, the more I lean on the being afraid part of things, or maybe it's just wise cautiousness. But if you get too far into that mentality, it's too easy just to spend your time sitting on your couch playing video games, which, don't get me wrong, I greatly enjoy doing that as well. But there's a big world out here to explore and calories to burn, which, like I said, has become more and more important to me here in the last few months. And there we go, our first look at the creek. I believe this is Jumpingpound Creek, which eventually flows down into Cochrane, and Mabel's very anxious to get down there and have a drink. And she should be choking shortly because she doesn't seem to know how to drink out of flowing water and always ends up, yep, there we go, always ends up gagging afterwards. But can we just take a moment and appreciate the beauty of that right behind me there? I think that might make a good thumbnail. We have this nice cattle trail here to follow for a little bit. We're about 200 meters from the cache. I hope it's on this side of the water. It is based on the topo map. So yeah, this is big grazing area in the winter months. In fact, you can see the corral there off in the distance that they use when they gather their cattle. So I would normally call this a game trail, but I know this is more likely a cattle trail. And yes, I'm on the wrong side of the creek. So I'm gonna work back this way and see if there's a place I can kind of hop across, or if it doesn't go any deeper than my ankles. My boots are supposed to be waterproof, so we'll see. Okay, so it's a little deeper than I'd like, but here's my plan. I'm hoping to get 1 foot on this one, 1 foot on that one, and then leap for the bank. So I'm gonna put the camera down so that it doesn't get flying out of my hands into the creek, and I'll see you on the other side, I guess, hopefully. Well, that didn't go quite according to plan. Didn't go according to plan, but it did kind of go to expectations, so oh well. Okay, 90 meters to the cache, and I've run out of creek bank here, so now it's time to venture into the woods. So we have arrived at ground zero. This is the fallen tree I remember searching before, but now the coordinates, or the GPS, is pointing me more over in this area. So I'm gonna put the phone down and start searching. The mosquitoes are pretty bad out here, so I'll need a second hand free to swat at them. Okay, I'm gonna have to give up on this one for now. I've been here probably 20 minutes. I'm just swarmed with mosquitoes. The hint says 50 centimeters up, dead. I've tried. Maybe I've been focusing too low. Maybe the previous finders didn't put it back quite in accordance with the hint or something, but yeah, I've spent too much time here right now. It's time to move on. Maybe if I come back this direction on our way back to camp, I'll come in at it with a fresh set of eyes, but for now, I'm gonna move on to the next one that's just a couple 100 meters away. There we go. Unlike the last one, this cache revealed itself quickly, right there. So that's good, a nice easy find. At least I'm not gonna get skunked on this trip. Wind's coming up a little bit. I might have felt a few drops of rain, but I'm gonna carry on to the next one. Interesting little shelter here. There was another small creek I had to jump across. Well, actually there was a convenient log. So thanks to the log, I didn't have to jump across. And of course, because I opted not to mention it on camera, that crossing went flawlessly. Looks like campfire ring or something maybe from before. But yeah, interesting little shelter here in Mosquito Central. So this is a neat spot. This is a, sorry, mosquitoes, fairly recently downed tree, but look how nice That wild rose is growing there, using the dead tree as shelter. Nature at its finest. Sometimes finding the beauty in the small things is what makes it all worthwhile. There you go. Bees doing bee things. There's another one on that one. Well, I'm very much in danger of going 1 for 3 on geocaches. Yeah, haven't had any luck with this third one. I've been looking around, searching. I read some of the previous logs, and it sounds like the original cache owner actually passed away, and the original cache had gone missing, so some of his friends came out here after his memorial service and replaced the cache with a black bison tube zip-tied to a branch above the ground zero where the original cache was. So despite knowing exactly what I'm looking for, I'm still not having any luck. And I mean, it doesn't help when you're in the woods this deep. Your GPS bounces around. I mean, 1 minute I'm standing on top of ground zero, the next minute it's 8 meters away. So that's a large section to search. And when you combine a large section to search with hundreds, if not thousands of branches where the bison tube could be tied to, yeah, this is going to be a tough find. It's going to be more luck than skill, that's for sure. That cache's name is Hope Springs Eternal. Well, needless to say, there's been no hope for me, although it feels like an eternal search. So again, I'm gonna swing back on this one. I'm gonna go for the 4th and final one now. I'm gonna swing back on this one, come at it from a different angle, come at it with fresh eyes again, see if I get lucky on the way back. But 1 for 3 so far, on to the 4th. And again, there's really been no trails. Every once in a while we find something that looks like a cattle or game trail, and we'll follow that for a little bit. Sort of like this right here. You can see the grass has been kind of trampled down, so we'll follow this. It avoids some of the deadfall and things. The next cache was only 180 meters away, so not far to go. And then it'll be time to head back and look for those 2 we missed, and relax and stare at trees at the campsite. I don't know if this will come through on camera, but it's such a beautiful spot right here. And just look at how clear that water is. You can see right through to the bottom here. Beautiful, beautiful spot. I mean, even if I don't find another cache today and go 1 for 4, this spot alone is worth it. There we go. 4th one was a nice, easy find. Coordinates were perfect. Hint made sense. This is going on the favorites list. I'm not usually a huge fan of micros in the woods, but look at the spot that the cache hiders decided to bring us to. This is what caching's all about. I'm just gonna put the phone down for a little bit and just enjoy being in the woods here. So just before starting the trip back, I figured I'd check. My watch says the hike has been 3.86 kilometers so far, about an hour and 53 minutes. The track log on the GPS says 4.41 kilometers with an hour and 54. So I must have obviously reset my trip computer pretty much the same time I started the hike on the watch. But yeah, a little bit of difference, but we'll call it 4 kilometers in. So we got 4 kilometers back to go. Probably it'll be faster because I'm not planning on looking for those caches as long as I did on the way out. I'm just going to take a kind of walking by hunt kind of thing. But yeah, the blue skies are out, so we missed the rain so far. Mabel's had a couple dunks in the creek. So yeah, great stuff. I probably, well, unless I see something really cool on the way back, I'm just going to put you in my pocket and carry on. And there's the phone shaking because of Mabel moving around. She's back there. See, she's still alive. Okay, time to head out. Okay, so I'm back at the third cache location. And I want to read one of the previous logs for this cache because I think it captures something really that I can feel while I'm here, but they put it into words far better than I could. So now this is of course referring to the original cache container, which has since gone missing. But YYC, WHYWHYSEE, nice play on Calgary's airport code. When I first saw the cache container, my heart swelled with admiration. I believe it was brought to a right place to hide. The rugged terrain, the whispering leaves, and the camaraderie of our hiking group, all of it converged at this hidden spot. The cache itself seems to embody hope, nestled in its cozy, I'm still fighting mosquitoes, nestled in its cozy hiding spot. I've never been one to harbor grand expectations of eternity. Life, after all, is a fleeting dance, a delicate balance between moments of joy and the inevitable shadows. But here, surrounded by nature's embrace, I felt a glimmer of something more profound. The cache's placement was no accident. The CO embraced the magic of this place, the way the sunlight filtered through the leaves, the scent of the spruce needles, the laughter shared not only at the creek crossing, and the excited clapping for, well, I mean the agitated slapping of mosquitoes. We were part of a story woven into the fabric of this landscape. And so, as I witnessed the container being so hidden, I whispered my hopes into its den, not for eternal bliss or unending summers, but for more moments like this, where time stood still long enough for the CO to take coordinates reading, and the world felt both vast and intimate, when even the hordes of mosquitoes couldn't dampen our spirits. In the end, it's the memories that endure, the laughter, the shared triumphs, the shared DNFs, and hope, like a hidden treasure, waits for us in unexpected corners of the world. May this log serve as a reminder, hope springs eternal, even in the tiniest geocache. And that's oh so true. And when you're out here, you know, yeah, I've walked only 4 kilometers, but it feels like I'm miles from civilization. And yeah, there was a few hints in there, I think, as well about the cache. And I mean, the cache hint itself even said, in loss, renewal is found. So I assumed in the loss it meant one of these downed dead trees, but wasn't able to find it. But that's okay. As that other logger kind of mentioned, it's not always what you find, or sometimes you find what you're not even looking for. So there we go. We have made it back to the road, Powder Face Trail. I'm just going to walk the whole road all the way back to 68 and then over to the campground. But looks like some rain clouds developing again. With a little luck, we'll have made it without getting rained on. Oh, we're coming back on the road into the campground. The rain has held off so far. Still a threatening looking cloud, but the temperature sensor on the backpack says it's 22 degrees Celsius. breeze makes it feel a little cooler, so it's actually a perfect temperature for today's hike. My watch and GPS both show we've done just over 7K. Well, I think the GPS says it's a little higher, a little bit closer to 8. But 7 or 8 kilometers, a couple hundred meters of elevation gain. Time to get back to camp, relax a little bit. I know Mabel's probably looking for water. She hasn't had any since she took a dunk in the creek. I haven't had any at all, actually. I forgot to ever stop and take the backpack off. So, time for some relaxation. Okay, back inside Bella the Boler, and if I look a little tired and dozy, it's because Mabel and I were sitting out in the gazebo for a couple hours, and I made the mistake of reading, and reading always puts me to sleep now. And so I was sitting out there and reading and falling asleep in the chair, and I was like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna wake up really sore. I'm just gonna go lay down in the trailer and read. So Mabel and I came in here, and then I didn't just have a nap, I fell asleep for a good solid 2 hours. So I just fed Mabel her dinner. I'm going to go out and prepare mine now, and then just enjoy the evening, I guess. So this falls under the things you only learn when camping alone category, and that is I hate making multiple trips in and out of the trailer. So I precariously balance everything I can to try and make one trip out, which is not easy when you have a dog attached to your wrist. But I managed to make it. At least when there's 2 of you, I don't mind as much, because you can just kind of like, Emily's inside, I'm outside, we can just hand things to each other without making that trip for some reason. Well, I know why we can make the trip, but what I was getting at is that making the trip up and down that single step repeatedly just gets really old really fast. The other thing is, you'll probably wonder, well, you cooked over the fire last night, why are you just using the gas grill tonight? And it comes down to A, laziness, and B, I intend to take Mabel for another longer walk this evening. I mean, not as long as we did this afternoon or this morning, but I just don't want to have the hassle of starting the fire, cooking, then either having to sit around and wait for it to burn way down before I can leave the campsite, or tossing water on it, and then I won't be able to restart it for the evening. So it's just easier to cook on the gas. Now, if I was going to be hanging around campsite all night, yeah, I'd fire up the campfire and cook over it. So it's going to be pretty simple dinner tonight. Another couple buns because I'm camping, so I'm splurging on the carbs, or on the carbohydrates. These happen to be from Cobb's. Couple hamburger patties, ketchup, mustard, relish, fake cheese in the background there. As I always said, I like the way it melts. I don't care if it's fake. I have real stuff at home. This is nice for camping. And my one concession to fanciness, a fresh tomato that just fell on the table. Good thing it has its own skin. But I picked these up at Costco. These are big marble farms, apparently grown in one of the greenhouses by Medicine Hat. And like I said, I picked them up at Costco when Emily went on vacation a week ago yesterday, and they have been really good tomatoes. I enjoyed those a lot. Those might become a new Costco staple, because I can always find something to put a tomato on. And of course, not a sponsor, just a company or product that I really feel brought good value to me, so I thought I'd mention them for nothing. So a couple of random thoughts while the grill preheats. Number one, all those rain clouds passed us by. All we got out of it was just the slightest sprinkle. It didn't even settle the dust at all. And the other one is this campsite. I was skeptical of it at first when I pulled in, because being a pull through, it's pretty open, but I gotta say it's pretty good. I don't see anybody off on what's the south side of the campsite. There's nobody there to the west, just trees. The neighbors here on the east side, or kind of our northwest side, I guess it would be, you can barely see them through the trees, and they've been really good neighbors, very quiet, haven't made any noise at all. And then the only neighbors I really see are the people to the northeast, just across the roadway there. And they've been really good as well. They have a dog that Mabel reacts to when they walk by, which hasn't happened a lot, but you know, they like their privacy as well, so they've done a really nice job of blocking their sight off so Mabel doesn't see their dog. And I blocked our sight just using the one privacy panel on the gazebo here, so that when we're inside, Mabel can't see over there at all. And even from the inside here, I could have put a second panel up on this one, but I figured we're far enough away from the road and there's enough trees there that they wouldn't bother Mabel. And really, every once in a while, when a child or someone walks by, she might bark a little bit, but she's been really good. All right, the Dusty Grill, which would be a good name for a bar. Still all that dust from Ronald Lane last weekend. Should be ready to throw some meat on. And so far, the only thing I've drank on this trip is water, either in the form of coffee or water from home, because I don't trust Bella's tank to be clean, given that the trailer's from 1978 and the water tank has a date of 1991 on it. I don't want to know what's happened in those 30 plus years, or in the form of club soda. So that being said, I do have a can of beer and a can of Coke, which I've been saving for the final night. So, woohoo, things are going to get crazy at the old DanOCan campsite tonight. So, with dinner complete, the dishes put away and things, like I said, I'm going to take Mabel for a bit of a walk here before it gets too late. I mean, it's about 7:30 now, so I want to be late enough that it can be her final major walk of the night, and then just have to take her out for a quick liquid run, if you will, before bed after the campfire. But she seems pretty relaxed right now, so I'm going to take advantage of the fact that it didn't rain really on us yet and tear down a bulk of the camp just in case it rains overnight or in the morning. It's so much nicer to put things away when they're dry, and then you don't have to pull them out at home to dry out again. Plus, I mean, it's not looking like it's gonna rain tonight, and if it rains tonight, I'll just go inside the trailer. I'm not gonna hang out in the gazebo with the propane fire pit or anything if it gets to that point. But I'm thinking it's gonna be pretty nice tonight, just looking at these clouds. I mean, it's a little cloudy, but there's a lot of blue sky showing through. I think if we can get away without the gazebo tonight and getting it put away and saving time in the morning, that's a bonus. So there we go. A lot of camp is taken down, put away. I have heard some thunder in the distance, so it's probably a good idea to have done what I've done. We'll find out in the morning whether or not it was a smart thing. Well, I know it'll be a smart thing, because if nothing else, it'll save me time getting out and on the road and getting home. Emily will be home tomorrow at some point, so that's good. Don't have to do too much house cleaning before she gets there. Back at camp, Mabel and I did another 3.5 kilometer little walk along the path that runs around the outside of the campground here. Less than an hour till sunset, just time to start the fire. Gonna do a crossword puzzle before it gets dark. And like I say, Mabel and I are just gonna settle in.
I can't see him, but clearly there's a squirrel taunting Mabel. You can certainly hear him.
So how's about a little fireside chat just to wrap this video up? Seems appropriate. And speaking of appropriate, on the back of Bella we have a new tire cover this year that says, "Making memories one campsite at a time." And I think that's really appropriate and very true. You know, I think back over my many years of camping, going all the way back to, you know, camping with my dad and my cousins and stuff at the Lost Lemon campground in the Crow's Nest Pass, and the September long weekend of 1988 when my cousins and I met a couple girls named Jen and Robin and hung out with them all weekend and had a great time. My dad running over the sprinkler at the Hungry Horse campground with the trip with my cousin Dave in 1987, through to, you know, all the trips out to Mount Kidd with Kevin and Susan and Mike and Lynn, and, you know, and then moving on and camping with Harry and Peggy and Graham and Maureen and Dale and Janice and just all of our friends, and, you know, and every trip out is another memory. You know, camping out at Bolton Creek with me and Tucker the weekend we went out there to meet up with Colin, and it snowed on us in the tent and it was cold and miserable. The night at Besant out by Mortlach, Saskatchewan, the night Tucker escaped from the tent at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I had to go chase him across the campground and got exposed to one of the most amazing Aurora Borealis displays I have ever seen in my life. You know, the rainy night out in Little Elbow when Emily found a fat toad in the middle of the road, or even when we were here 3 weeks ago and Emily found I can't remember if it was a frog or a toad out in the woods along the pathway here. Like, every one of those is a memory, and every one of those gets filed away and reminds us of why we camp and why we do this. And, you know, I didn't get to share this one with Emily because she was away, but I got to share it with Mabel, and I got to share it with you. So if you stuck around this long and made it to the end, thank you very much. Appreciate you very much for taking the time to watch the video and hang out with us here on the channel. Always a good time, and we'll see you in the next video.